everybody, I'm Elizabeth Hines from our Paleo family. Welcome. I think I need to plug this in. Okay, welcome. So what we're doing tonight is Asian spaghetti. I don't know what else to call it. I'm putting about a tablespoon of sesame oil in my Instant Pot, and I now have it on saute more. So the history of this recipe is that way back when my kids were little, like 1 and 3 I think, we had this meal exchange group with a bunch of other moms that all had kids about the same age, and we would swap meals. You know, I don't need to tell you all the details of that, but basically you make a whole bunch of the same thing and then get together and then everybody gets one of each meal. And it was so great because then you'd get your freezer full of all sorts of different meals, and we tried so many different dishes, types of cuisine that I'm sure we would have never tried otherwise. And that group is still going. We had to quit because our diet changed and everybody else could eat everything and didn't have any restrictions. And so, yeah, it was right about that time. We did it for, gosh, several years. My son became allergic to some nuts, and anyway, so we had to quit. But this recipe came from one of those meal swaps, and I loved it. Loved it. It's just like a meat sauce, but with the Asian flavors. So the only problem is that I couldn't find the recipe. So part of the swap was you would share the recipe, which was so fun. And I know I saved my favorites from that time. And for the life of me, I cannot find them. Okay, so my daughter got braces, and she eats a lot of carrots. And so the orthodontist said I can't eat, regular carrots. So I've been buying her these little carrot shreds. Well, she soon found that she really can eat the other kinds of carrots as long as she's careful. So I have several bags of these little shreds that were in the bottom of the crisper drawer. So my recipe calls for 1 large carrot. So I'm just going to chop up. It was probably 1/3 to 1/2 cup of those little carrot shreds. Okay, so you can, this is going to drive me crazy that there's a carrot in there. You can serve this spaghetti sauce, it's just a meat sauce, with all sorts of different things. We had it, when my friend made it during the meal swap, we had it with rice stick noodles, which are a noodle made out of rice. Here in my town, I have to buy them at an Asian market, and I just didn't have a chance to get out there to the Asian market. I'm going to have to measure my salt because I can't remember my recipe. I'm putting in 1/2 teaspoon. The coconut aminos is salty. Sorry. My allergies are so bad right now. So the rice stick noodles are really inexpensive. And like I said, you can find them at Asian markets, but I didn't have a chance to get out there. So I'm just going to make some regular rice for my family. And then I had some of these Trader Joe's cauliflower gnocchi. Have you had these? Like a gnocchi is a little pillow, usually potato and flour, but these are made out of cauliflower and cassava flour, I think. I think it's cassava, yeah. I'm not going to bang it. Okay, so I have my onion and my carrot. I'm basically just getting everything in there. I need 4 cloves of garlic. You could use the kind that's in a jar, pre-minced, that's fine. This one is about done. So if you watched the live that I did, I hope you enjoyed that. I thought about actually going live tonight, but because I'm having to kind of remember this recipe as I make it, I might have to do a little bit of editing, so I decided not to go live. But it was really fun. I loved interacting with you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, that's one of my dad's pet peeves, is like when people say you guys, just generic when they're talking to women. So everybody, I enjoyed interacting with everyone. And we'll do it again for sure. It has been end of school year craziness. I know all of you with children know what I'm talking about. Even in the homeschool world, we have the end of school year crazies because there's all the stuff, right? It's all that. For us, it's not so much school, although we are doing our end of year testing right now. It's all the activities. It's sports coming to a close and all that stuff. So anyway, I haven't even put up a video for a while because it's just been crazy busy. Okay, so 4 cloves of garlic. Of course, if you love garlic, add more. I got my hair cut, y'all, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. I need some help with the curly hair because I'd like to let it just go natural and not have to dry it straight. Then it's kind of weird curly, and anyway, my hair is, I'm happy with it shorter, but I'm having to figure it out. So just chop this up pretty small. You would absolutely not need to do this in the Instant Pot, but I'm doing it in the Instant Pot because it's fun. Everybody seems to want Instant Pot recipes. And I have frozen beef. So I have not an ideal situation here tonight, but this is real life, and I'm sure some of you have this too. My family all of a sudden is eating more. My daughter and my son are both eating a lot. This is starting to really brown. I do have it on more, so let me adjust it. You have to turn it off, turn saute on, and then adjust to get to normal. So I have my 1 pound of ground beef out of the freezer. And they've just been eating so much the last few days, I thought I should do more. So I've just gotten out another one. Actually, I'm going to put this one at the end. So we're going to cook some frozen beef. So I really just need to get everything in here because I can break up this beef once it's all cooked. I don't have to break it up now and brown it. It's really not necessary. When you pick out your fresh ginger at the store, try to get a big fat one like this because if you get the ones with all the little fingers, then it's harder to work with. And I want, I'm just going to cut that off. Then just cut the peel off. You can peel it with a vegetable peeler, but I find it just easier to use my knife. So if you get one with the big fat section, it's going to make it easier to get all the ginger that you need. And then I use my microplane grater. Ginger can be kind of spicy, but it has an amazing flavor. You can use powdered ginger if you want to. I'm going to try to get a tablespoon of fresh. I would use a teaspoon of the powdered kind if you don't have fresh. If you've just never tried fresh, try it. It's not hard to find anymore. This came from Aldi. Most places have it. It's usually like with the potatoes and the onions, the garlic, that kind of stuff. It just has a really great flavor, but it is a little bit hot. So be careful of that if you're serving really young children. Just a little bit under, so let me do a little bit more. My grater is getting old. I've had it for probably 10 years, maybe a little more. So it's not super sharp. I might have to get a new one. Yeah, perfect. Let me give that a stir. So I have onion, garlic, fresh ginger, a little carrot. You can put in more carrot if you want, but I'm cooking my veggies on the side tonight. The pound of ground beef, I'll put in my frozen one in a minute. A cup of beef broth. I need a half a cup of coconut aminos. If you can do soy, you could use soy sauce. But you know, we're paleo over here, so we're using coconut aminos, and we love the flavor of it. So everybody in my house is super happy. coconut aminos. That is not a sacrifice. And then we have the fish sauce, which is really strong. Try not to smell it. I want 2 teaspoons of that. If I have to adjust anything from what I'm telling you now, it'll be written up properly. And then, let's see, the only thing left, I did salt and pepper. You can put in some crushed red pepper if you want some spice. Feel free to do that. I'm not going to do that at this particular time. I have some green onions. Actually, these are chives from my garden that I'm going to garnish with at the end. So some green onion or chives. And then some sweetness, because you know a lot of the Asian sauces with, you know, that the rich brown sauce, they are sweet. And so I've been doing Whole30 again. I feel like I'm always doing Whole30. I just am really trying to get my sweet taste buds to calm down. But this recipe needs a little bit of sweetness. You could use, if you want to stick with paleo stuff, well, that's what we're talking here, you could use dates like I'm using. They're very, very sweet. You can see I used 3. So you could use 1, 2, 3, you know, however many you want to get it to your level of sweetness. You could use honey, maple syrup, some liquid stevia. Some people taste stevia as bitter, so that might not be your favorite. If you really want to have very, very low carbs, you could do that. And now I have enough liquid in here. And I'm going to add my ground beef, my frozen beef, and it will, it'll be fine in terms of the fat content because this is grass-fed. It's very lean. If you were cooking just, you know, traditional grain-fed ground beef, it might be a little fatty. You might not want to do this if you wanted to drain the fat out, but I'm happy to have that in there. And we're just going to wipe our hands. It's been a really long, very busy day. So let me just gather my thoughts for a second. Make sure I put everything in there that I meant to. Yeah, that's it. I might want to thicken the sauce a little bit at the end with a little slurry of glucomannan or arrowroot. But I will wait and see. We're going to turn that off. Put my lid on. Sealing. I'm doing high pressure manual for 15 minutes. And while that is going, I'm going to turn my rice on. Let me talk about these cauliflower gnocchi for a minute. So they're frozen. These are from Trader Joe's. They're the only place I know where you can get them now. Somebody else will be making them soon, I'm sure. They have a lot of frost on them. So I think they're better if you let them defrost a little bit. I use a paper towel and just get some of that liquid off, and then I just saute them in a pan. You can roast them in the oven, but it seems to take a really long time. So I just do them on a skillet for maybe 10 minutes in a little ghee or some kind of cooking fat. And then I have a bunch of green beans and broccoli that I'm going to stick in the oven at 400. I think it just beeped up to temperature. Just put a little avocado oil in here, salt and pepper, cut them, and they're going to go in for about 20 minutes. So that'll work out perfectly because this will take about 5 to come up to pressure. And as soon as it's done cooking, I'll quick release so I can check all the flavor and everything. So I'm going to get these in the oven. That's cooking, and I'll see you back here in about 20 minutes. Well, it won't feel like 20 minutes for you. It'll be 20 minutes for me, but it'll just be a flash for you. Hey everybody, so let me show you what we've got here. So I cooked this under high pressure for 15 minutes, and it came up to pressure super fast because there wasn't a lot of liquid in here. I have my apron on backwards, and so I'm trying to stick my hands in my pockets. 15 minutes, and then after the 15 minutes, my big block of ground beef was not completely cooked through. There was this little bit in the center that was still, it wasn't frozen, but it wasn't completely cooked. So I did some Googling on times to cook ground beef from frozen in the Instant Pot. I got everywhere from 5 minutes to 35 minutes. So I think it depends on the kind of the shape of your block. So let's go with a 1 pound block of ground beef, and I did 15 minutes and it wasn't quite finished. So it was kind of fat because I buy it in bulk and then I package it. If you just buy those little square bricks, it's thinner. I think that would have definitely cooked in 15 minutes. But what I'm doing is just simmering it. I wanted to thicken my sauce a little bit, and it cooked in just a couple minutes. So there was no problem whatsoever. And this is just like a spaghetti sauce, a meat sauce, you know, but it has these Asian flavors. And I thought the flavor was perfect as is. So I remembered the recipe pretty well. Of course, that would have had brown sugar and soy sauce, and so I had to use paleo ingredients instead. My 3 dates made it the perfect level of sweetness for me. And I didn't want to dilute the flavor by using water with my thickener, so I actually used a 1/4 cup more of the coconut aminos to a 1/2 teaspoon of glucomannan. So as soon as it finished cooking, I released the pressure, did a quick release, and then I turned it on saute normal, and it was bubbling a little too hard, so I just reduced it to less, which, as you can see in here, that's still a pretty hefty simmer. And I knew my husband was a little ways from home, so I thought it might thicken up enough on its own, but I went ahead and added the my thickening mixture just to get it exactly like I wanted it, because I didn't want it to be watery at all. Okay, so enough talking. My family, sorry, I'm going to talk just a little bit more. I talked about the rice stick noodles as an option for serving this, so it's really like traditional spaghetti. But again, I said we didn't have that. I'm just using rice for my family. I have the cauliflower gnocchi for myself. You can make vegetable noodles. You could do zucchini noodles, yellow squash. You could do butternut squash. They sell all of those vegetables spiralized in the produce section of many, many grocery stores. You can simply slice and saute your vegetables. I would go with probably zucchini if it were me, using a vegetable noodle like that. Okay, so let me dish one up here for my kids. So just a little bit of rice. There's a lot of black pepper in there. A nice spoon of the meat sauce. Let me scoot this to the side. I'll make this my daughter's since she actually likes green onions, chives. So we'll just snip a few of those. These are my kitchen scissors. I only use them for food. Okay, and then these just came out of the oven. These roasted green beans on one side. Put some broccoli on the other side. And there we have our Asian spaghetti. I already tasted it. I thought it was awesome. So the measurements you saw me put in were accurate. I felt like those made a really tasty sauce. So something just a little bit different. You want to pull a trick on somebody, you can say we're having spaghetti and it's this Asian spaghetti instead. Okay, so Asian spaghetti in the Instant Pot. One more thing. Yes, you could do this on the stovetop. Why do it in the Instant Pot? Because you can walk away. If I were cooking this on my stovetop, I would feel like I had to sit here and babysit it. Shred up my meat and flip it over if it was frozen, you know, constantly babysitting it. I put everything in. What did it take me? 5 minutes to get everything in, including my chopping? Put the lid on, walk away for 20 minutes. So that to me is the big benefit of the Instant Pot. It is just hands off, like hard boiling eggs. I want to do a video on that soon. Hard boiling eggs on the stove, you've got to sit there and watch because you need to know when the water comes to a boil because you have to time it so they're cooked just right. Instant Pot, put them in, turn it on, walk away. So if you have an Instant Pot sitting in your basement or your attic or up on the shelf and you've been afraid to use it, you don't want to take the time to learn it, watch some videos, don't be afraid of it. It's only food. If you mess up, just do it differently the next time. It's not a big deal. But I think once you get the hang of it and start really using it, you're going to love it. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. I love hearing from you. Please leave a comment, even if it's just to say hi. I will say hi back. It makes me very happy to get to interact with you in that way. I hope you are doing well, and I'll see you next time.